Hi guys, Everyday Knife Guy here with another knife review for you. And today we're looking at a very EDC friendly blade, but a bit of a higher end EDC blade I guess, depending how you use your knives and how much you want to spend on them. Nice and sharp as you can see. Let's clear that out of the way. Today we're looking at this, which is the Jason Brous Bionic 2.0. And before we look further at the knife, let's see what it comes in packaging wise. And it actually comes in this quite neat little plastic tube. You would think it might rattle around in here and get scratched up, but it's actually pretty snug fit. You can see there the Brous Blades logo, quality, innovative, custom knives. And this is Brous Bionic 2.0 silver and satin. Bionic 1 I think was a run of 1100 blades. This is a run of 1000, and you can see here this is serial number 99 of 1000, which I think is kind of cool. I mean, if you're not going to be number 1 or number 1000, what else do you want? 500, the year of your birth, number 2, 999, I don't know. I just think 99 is quite cool, so I'm quite pleased with that, and that's one of the reasons I'm probably going to be keeping this blade, where I had originally intended to flip it and you know, trade up something else. Anyway, anodized aluminum or aluminium handle depending where you live, and it is D2 tool steel blade. With this purchase you received a free lifetime of sharpening and refurbishing for your Brous blade. The website there, brousblades.com. And on the reverse of that card you can see here certificate of authenticity, Brous blades, signed by Jason Brous himself, and the birth date there 8/4/14, and this product is one of a limited 1000-piece run. So there you go, quite cool. And the blade itself I think is very cool. I've loved the look of this blade for a long time. I was just kind of waiting for the right deal to come along to pick one up, and strangely enough the satin with the silver handle was a combination that I never foresaw myself owning. If you don't know, this came in lots of different color combinations when it came out. There was red, green, black handles, gold, blades were black, satin, stonewash. I think they did an acid stonewash. So there were lots of combinations. I probably most favoured the red handle. It's kind of a nice rich red with the black coated blade. But now that I have the silver on silver in hand, I think this is just stunning looking, and probably wouldn't change it for the world. I really like the combination of the satin blade with the silver handle. The whole thing's pretty monochrome, not even the pivot or anything is black. The only little tiny bit of colours, if you can see on the pocket clip there, which it's a bit of a fingerprint magnet, sorry about that. Laser etched I think on the pocket clip is Brous blades, and the outline of those letters is almost a bluish colour, but that's the only tiny bit of colour on the blade, otherwise it's entirely silver, and I think that's really pretty cool. So what do we have? It's a small EDC friendly kind of size. Now forgive me, we're in the process of moving house, and this is the only thing I could find that hasn't been packed for measuring this, so I'm never the most prepared for my knife vids, but this is taking it to a new level. So the actual cutting edge is, as you can see, just shy of 3 inches. Overall would be, what's that, just over 6.5, and the handle size is what going on for 3 3/4, 4 inches. So yeah, it's a pretty small blade, great for EDC size, fits nicely in my hand, and it's actually quite comfortable. I've watched a number of reviews on this, and it's been knocked in quite a few of them for this kind of discomfort of the handle. I mean, it looks very cool, this machined aluminum with this kind of reptilian sort of backbone thing going on here, and it looks great. Some people have said it's a little arbitrary. I quite like the design on here. I don't know particularly the thinking of it, but it's you know, it looks good to me, simple as that. But it's been knocked a little bit on how kind of sharp these edges are. The jimping on the liner lock tab there, digging in a little bit. A few things comfort wise for heavy use. Now the first thing I would say about that is it's not really, I mean, you can look at it and say it's not really a heavy use blade, is it? It's you know, it's a small knife, and it's a showpiece really, or a high-end EDC if you will. But you know, it feels fairly comfortable in my hand. It locks in quite nicely, this choil here, and there's actually kind of a downwards thumb ramp, if you will, onto this jimping on top of the blade here, and your thumb just kind of sits quite nicely on there and presses the whole thing down onto your forefinger, which I think is fairly comfortable. No, it probably wouldn't be that great for long-term use, but I don't really foresee myself surviving in the wilderness with just this on me. I'm going to make sure I have something a little more woods practical for heavy use. So that aside, I do like the design overall. I think the blade shape's really nice, hollow ground blade, and a super nice slicer. Great for food prep, I find, and just general kind of everyday package opening, that sort of stuff. So really nice little blade for everyday use, and nice action on it as well for playing with. It's flipper on bearings, nice and smooth as you can see, super smooth. The whole thing is very, very light. I don't have a weight hand, but it feels very light in the hand. And in terms of closing, it's a pretty free-falling blade, but it's actually just the lightness of the blade causes you to have to give it a little bit of shake to let it drop down. But you know, it's nice and smooth. There you go. It fires quite hard if you catch it right. There's actually a couple other ways you can open it that I didn't really realize until I got one in hand. And this groove along near the spine here, you can actually grab that with your thumb. You should open like so. You could flick that open, I think, if you can catch it right. I find it a little awkward just because of the size of the handle. I find it a little bit too small to catch that groove right and flick it open. But I can usually spidey flick it from underneath. Oops, like so. You can do that. You can open it manually like that. It's nice and smooth. Oops. Spidey flick it like that, or of course the flipper tab on top. The flipper is fairly small. It's quite a nice little kind of shark's fin shape though, and it's totally smooth, and you can actually see on the underside of the flipper here, if I can get the camera to focus. Come on. No. Oh, there we go. Now you might be able to see laser engraved on there, 099 of 1000. Forgive my dirty working hands as usual. 99 of 1000. So it's quite cool as a serial number. Interesting placement there on the flipper tab, I think, and of course when it's deployed you then have that down in here. There's just no chance this is going to focus, is there? Is there? No, there isn't. It's not going to focus. Anyway, so I think that's quite a cool little touch. It's got a really nice flow-through construction. You can see there's two standoffs at the back here, and that's it apart from the quite oversized kind of pivot at the front here, housing the bearings. Looking down to the tail here, you can probably see if I can get the light to catch it. Let me just adjust the lamp here. Yeah, you might be able to see down the side there, it is skeletonized on the liners, and the liners kind of are inset into the actual aluminum handles here, so you can see a section of the liner kind of pop up at the top here, and that's where your standoffs are mounted into. I think that's quite a nice detail, and you can see it at the back there, how the liner is just inset just a few millimeters inside the bottom and the rear of the scale, and then it kind of shows through on the top there, and I think that's quite a neat little detail. And yeah, it just kind of finishes it off nicely at the back. Blade centering is pretty good. It's slightly off to one side, but pretty marginal really. And the pocket clip is quite nice on this. It's not a full deep carry, but it's certainly deep enough. There's a little protruding screw here on both sides that you can get a hold of to pull it out of your pocket. And I quite like the shape on that, and the fact that the Brous Blades logo is laser engraved on there. There's no other branding or billboard branding on the blade or anything. It's nice and simple and plain. And you do have the option. Apologies guys, my camera just completely crapped out on me there to the point that I'm now back here 3 days later trying to finish this review. So yeah, I think I was talking about the pocket clip, and I was saying you can do right or left hand carry tip up only. And you can see here it's quite a neat little design, similar to the Hinder knives, where you have a filler tab for your position that you're not using, and you have this little inset on the end of your pocket clip which kind of should keep it in alignment and keep it in place, and you know, you only need one screw then of course to lock it down. You can see the little filler tab there on that side. Unfortunately I'm not sure what's quite gone wrong with that, but I had owned this about 2 weeks before I noticed that this is actually really movable, and you'd think, if if I can get this focus, once that slots down into the little machined recess there, it would keep it in line. But the pocket clip just seems to move around an awful lot, and that's kind of a bit off-putting for me. I don't really like that. And this is fully tightened, this screw, so it's not a case of that. So I don't really know why that moves around, but you know, other than that, the pocket clip is fine. But that's a little bit off-putting. Now I did get this used, but overall, I mean, the handle seems pretty durable. The anodized aluminum. I've managed to drop this a couple of times on a concrete floor, and I can't really see any marks as a result of that. There's a couple little machining divots, but I think those are, as I say, just part of the production, not due to my own incompetence. So overall, it seems pretty durable finish, and the satin blade actually is holding up really well, considering some of the slicing I've done with it. So yeah, definitely pretty impressed with the overall durability. So I think I'm going to wrap it up there, guys. There's not a lot else to say really. It's a neat little knife. I really like it a lot more than I expected to, particularly given the colorway. So I think I'm going to keep this in the collection certainly for a while. And yeah, it's recommended, I guess. Prices on these at the moment, you can pick them up on the secondary market for, well, usually I guess around 150 US, something like that. I got this for just a little over 100 US, which is a pretty good deal, I think, certainly considering the condition. So if you're willing to be patient and just wait for the right deal to come along, you should be able to pick one up for a reasonable amount of money. And yeah, certainly recommend it. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll have more videos coming for you soon. Cheers.